So, what happens when a YouTuber decides to take the biggest show on the planet and make it for real? We're talking 456 contestants and a prize of almost $500,000. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how he pulled off this absolutely monumental, real-life Squid Game. Okay, so picture this. It all kicks off with this number, 456. That's how many actual people were brought in to play this thing. Every single one of them had the exact same goal: be the last person standing and walk away with a truly life-changing amount of money.
And this is what they were all fighting for. A grand prize of $456,000. You see the connection, right? That's $1,000 for every single person who started the game, all going to just one winner. The stakes were just massive. Which of course brings us to the big question. How in the world did they actually pull this off? I mean, think about it. Recreating every single one of those iconic sets, managing hundreds and hundreds of people, and then just giving away nearly $500,000? It seems impossible. So let's dive in and see how they did it game by game. All right, so the first phase of this whole thing, it was basically just a mass culling. It was all about speed and shock, designed to thin the herd as quickly and as brutally as possible. This is where dreams were made, and for most people, immediately shattered.
And they kick things off with the one we all know, red light, green light. Every player had a little device on them that would pop if they moved at the wrong time. But here's the thing. The organizers added this absolutely diabolical twist. To stir up some chaos, they threw in a fake yellow light call, which caught dozens of people completely off guard.
Yeah, even one of the organizers straight up admitted that move was diabolical. It showed everyone right away that this wasn't just a physical test, this was psychological warfare from the very first minute. A brilliant, and honestly, a pretty cruel touch.
And the result of that first game? Just wow. The field was absolutely slashed. We went from 456 people all the way down to just 232. Think about that. Over 200 people were out in the first 30 minutes. Insane. And the pain train just kept on rolling into the second challenge, honeycomb. You know the one. You pick a shape and you have to carve it out of this super fragile cookie. And yep, just like in the show, if you got stuck with that dreaded umbrella shape, you were pretty much toast. So by the end of honeycomb, the number dropped again. But then they threw in another curveball. They offered people $4,000 in cold, hard cash to just quit on the spot. A surprising number of people took the deal, leaving just 120 survivors to face what was coming next. Okay, so now that the numbers are way smaller, the whole vibe of the game changes. It's not just about your individual skill anymore. This next phase is where it gets social. We're talking alliances, strategy, and, you guessed it, betrayal. For the next game, Tug of War, the remaining 120 players had to scramble to form 12 teams of 10. And let me tell you, it was absolutely ruthless. You had people just scrambling to find the strongest players, knowing that their survival in the game literally depended on it. And this is where the cold, hard math of the game really started to show. One player was recorded saying this while he was forming his team: "Sorry, no girls allowed." It was just a cold, purely strategic decision made under unimaginable pressure. The result of Tug of War? The field was chopped in half. Again, 6 teams won, 6 teams went home. And just like that, only 60 players remained. So this next game, this was the one. This was the emotional gut punch of the entire competition. For the marbles game, the organizers did something kinda messed up. They actually tracked who the players had been talking to the most, and then forced them to partner up with their best friend in the game. And you know the rules, only one could survive. I mean, people were just devastated. You hear one player say this: "We promised each other we were not going to screw each other over, but the game gives you no choice." Genuine bonds were completely shattered in this awful zero-sum challenge.
So after that absolute emotional train wreck of the marbles game, only 30 players were left standing. And every single one of them had to eliminate a friend just to still be there.
With the finish line now in sight, the games that were left became a test of pure luck and raw nerve. This was it. This was the final gauntlet before the grand finale.
The path to the finals kicked off with Dakchi, the paper flipping game, which whittled the group down to just 16. Those survivors then had to face the most iconic set of all, the glass bridge. And by the way, that incredible production cost over $3.5 million, and get this, it was all funded by a single sponsor. The glass bridge was pure, unadulterated chaos. For most of the 8 minutes, the players were just in a stalemate. Nobody wanted to move. But as that clock ticked down, the panic started to set in. With just 2 minutes left on the clock, it turned into an absolute mad dash to get across before time ran out.
Once that timer hit 0, that was it. If you weren't across the finish line, you were eliminated. So, after all the falls and all the panic, only 6 players made it through to become the finalists.
From 456 contestants, we were now down to the final 6. It all came down to one last game to decide who was going to walk away with that $456,000.
And what was that final epic game? Well, it wasn't the complex Squid Game from the show. It was musical chairs. Yep, the choice was very intentional. A simple, universally understood game of luck and timing to decide who wins a massive prize. But even in a game this simple, the tension was just immense. When the third-to-last player got eliminated, he shouted this, convinced that the final 2 had teamed up against him. It just goes to show you the level of paranoia that had set in after days of this competition. So, after all the complex strategy, the betrayals, and the brutal eliminations, it all just boiled down to a game of chance. 2 players, 1 chair, and $456,000 on the line. It really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? In a game this complex, does victory ultimately come down to skill, or is it just dumb luck?